Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Xyzal is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Xyzal keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all, take Xyzal. At night.
The Session is brought to you by More Beer, home of the all-new innovative Flash Brewing Kits. Go to morebeer.com today and check it out. Brew beer in 10 minutes or less. Hello, everybody. I'm Justin Crosley, back not in the studio, actually on the road for the first time in a while. I'm on my way to Arizona for baseball spring training. But on the way, of course, I'm visiting breweries and I'm visiting friends. I was at the White Labs 30th anniversary brew yesterday down here in San Diego, which was a blast. And it was kind of a not just OG, but super OG of the OG brewers. Guys like Jack, who started Ballast Brewing Company, and the founders of AleSmith, and I mean, you name it. It was just a great day. And so on this trip, I'm stopping at both old and new and friends that have moved to other breweries, and that's what I'm doing right now. I am at Goal Brewing Company also in San Diego with a name you might recognize, Derek Gallinosa. Derek, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, Justin? Glad to be back on.
Dude, I'm so stoked. We've been trying to do this for a while now.
Yeah. We've been open for over a year and a half, and eagerly awaiting your arrival.
Well, and I think you guys, I was here just after you opened for the Homebrew Conference, I want to say, or maybe it was even just before you opened. And we were trying to get together to try some beers. Derek, of course, is the artist formerly known as the brewer at Moxa. And that's the last time we had you on the show.
That's correct, yeah. Well, it was on there, I think, twice through Moxa. Yeah,
okay.
It was fun. I mean, obviously, it's a lot closer than here.
Yeah.
So it was a lot more doable.
But are you a San Diego guy? Is this where you're from?
Born and raised in San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just missed home and wanted to come back.
Nice. Oh, that's a good reason to do it. So you left Moxa and started Goal. Mm-hmm. What part of San Diego are we in?
We're in the North Park neighborhood. So obviously people are familiar with the North Park Beer Company. Mm-hmm. They're 4 blocks down the street.
Nice.
On the same street right here. Not El Cajon Boulevard, but just like the cross street. You could walk. So we walk to each other's spots all the time.
Heck yeah. I might have to do that after this interview.
I think it's a good choice.
I know their beer well. They win a lot of awards also.
Oh, yeah.
So why did you choose this location?
It was, I think, the opportunity, and also being very familiar with the North Park Brewery. So the main owner, Jason, he's the main guy. So this is the brand of Goal. Yeah. So Jason Pizarro, his brand is Vision, Get Out and Live. It was created during COVID, where him and his family just had to get out and live. I mean, that's kind of like what we had to do. We're stuck in our houses. Yeah. You couldn't really go to many businesses, so you really just had to like create your own fun. Okay. And I think we're carrying that over to this.
What is Get Out and Live? What were their adventures? Was that just a brand he created, or was there something to it?
No, pretty much. Just going camping, going fishing, doing something.
Yeah.
You know, just not being stuck in the house.
Okay. And so then the brewery became an extension of that.
Yeah, just that kind of like mantra and stuff. Yeah.
Now you guys are probably like, I wish I was stuck in the house a little more. Like, it's hard to...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, it's definitely a tough business right now, but making great beer and just showing people what we can do.
Sure. Did you help open Moxa?
Yeah, I was opening it. So I moved up there for that.
You did?
Just looking for a change of scenery. I was down here at Abnormal Beer Company.
Oh, yeah.
And was just looking for like something new. So I reached out to the one friend I had up there, and I was like, hey, who wants to open up a brewery with me? And we had 4 business partners that got together and started Moxa, and they're doing really well right now.
Yeah, and the beer's still great.
Yeah.
I just was curious because that means that opening this one and all that it takes to get a brewery, actually the doors open and beer to a glass was not your first rodeo. So you've built a brewery before.
Yeah, and what's funny is those 3 breweries, Abnormal, Moxa, and Goal, the same brew house. So it's like the same model. There was no learning curve. So it's just
amazing.
Right away, nailing all the numbers.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So you knew I liked everything I already had. You weren't like trying to upgrade per se. You just wanted to be back down in San Diego.
Pretty much, yeah. Looking for that opportunity to move back home. Just seeing my closest friends and family grow older. I was like, I want to be there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude, plus San Diego is amazing.
Oh, you can't go wrong. This is, I've been seeing like so many threads online where it's like, if he had just where would you live?
Yeah.
If you had the choice, just does everything else, just like, where would you just choose first choice? And it's always San Diego.
You're like, I'm already here.
Yeah.
So I came here a couple days ago and it's pouring with rain everywhere. And it's still amazing in San Diego. Like I'm out walking the dog and just still loving the neighborhoods, every bit of it. Went out last night to, I think you guys just call it OB or OP. Yeah, you can't
Ocean
say
Beach.
Yeah, but apparently it's not
OB.
cool. It's not cool to say Ocean Beach. You have to say OB. Great area. And anyhow, I just don't blame you for wanting to be in San Diego. Like it's not just about the weather. There's just a cool vibe here.
It is. It's just pretty chill, relax. You have great neighborhoods such as this one right here that's up and coming.
Yeah.
And then you got the whole beach town. So it's pretty spread out. You got something for everybody.
And I'm sorry to all my friends and listeners that live between San Diego and the Bay Area, but everything in between to me is just a wasteland. I can't be bothered. I just drive right through. I love the Bay. I love where we are up there, and I love San Diego and everything in between. Like, if I have something to do, tell me what's in our glass right now to start.
Yeah, so we're starting out, just getting the pallets adjusted. So we have the Czech Premium Pale Lager, or AKA Czech Pilsner.
Czech Pils, okay. Yep.
Yeah, so this is something that I wanted to create because I've been to Prague a couple times and I love this style. It's not too dry. I think that's the big thing about this particular style is it has kind of a medium body without like a detectable sweetness to it.
Okay.
But I really try to nail that upper end of the finishing gravity. This one ends at 3.4 Plato, which is kind of on the higher end of that range. I think it is the highest on that range.
Okay. Why do you try to keep it high like that?
Just to provide something different, but also I think it kind of has that like malty richness to it and just has a little bit more flavor to it. So it's not sweet, but it kind of stays on the palate a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And also I think the key thing about this is making or using great ingredients. So Environment Bohemian floor malted pills malt and touch of melanoidin in there because I'm not decocting. It's just a little 10-barrel pub system.
Yeah.
So I'm adding that flavor in through the malt bill.
Okay. I know that we've talked about this, you became famous for your bigger beers and your pastry stouts, and which are also amazing. But every time I went to your brewery to Moxa before, I was drinking your lagers. I think you're a great lager brewer.
And I want people to drink more of my lagers.
Yeah. Well, and do you think also that that's kind of the market now too? I'm not saying that pastry stouts are gone, but people to me seem to be hops are still king. But now lagers like have a real place in every brewery, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think how people were learning about the different hop varieties, what they like, I think they're not just seeing lager, but they're seeing Pilsner, Helles, Czech. They're getting into the lager realm, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm all for it.
Sure. We talk about all these trends right now. It's all over the news, like whether people are drinking beer or not beer or lower alcohol and less alcohol. And lagers kind of fit in that anyway, right? Like what's the percentage on this beer?
It's 5%. And I think that's kind of goes to what we're talking about San Diego. You want to get out of you're not stuck at home and just crushing double IPAs. Like you want sessionable beers, hang out with your friends, outdoors, go out. Like this city's great for just getting out and live.
Yeah.
And you want to drink for an extended period of time. You're kind of choosing those lighter beers.
Sure. How many lagers would you say you keep on now? Can you do more than 2?
We try to keep 2 because we only have 15 taps here. So we try to keep a variety on. So 2 at a time. The most we had was 4, but that was a little too much.
Okay.
Because it was just like, we got to keep the IPAs coming out.
Of course.
Yeah. But we try to keep on 2. And I rotate between this beer, a rice lager, a Helles, and I am next week making German Pils.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And are you lagering your lagers just as they should? Or
Absolutely,
you don't do the old Tasty McDole method where you kind of shorten that cycle?
No, and it kind of goes back to when I first started creating lagers and rushing it, or like, oh, it's done. It tastes great. And then I think we're lining up a canning date and I just had to extend it a little bit.
Yeah.
And it tasted so much better.
Right.
2 weeks later, I was like, oh, that's why they lager it so long.
Even and I was a terrible home brewer, but even as a home brewer, I would notice the same thing. If that beer hung around just a little while, like 2 more weeks, it was almost night and day. I felt like the difference.
Yeah. No, it's just like a lot, like the flavors come out more, just a lot more crushable and crispy. Like, I don't know. It just tasted better.
Yeah. Agreed. What hops are in this one?
Czech sauce.
Checks just all sauce all the way through?
Yeah, a little bit of bittering charge. And I think with this style, you have the bitterness, but it's kind of masked with the residual sweetness. So it kind of balances out. So it's a little bit more of an intense flavor than like a light lager or a Helles or something.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that about it too. It's not, I actually wouldn't have guessed Saaz only because it's not quite
like peppery.
Yes, I was going to say spicy. Exactly. Yeah. And maybe that's that gravity you're looking for, because it does have like a bigger body, but then not that kind of spice peppery thing happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that, do you think, just the batch of Saaz that you got, or you just weren't going for that?
I think that's what it comes out with. I don't add too much.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. To where it overpowers, because I want the malt to shine. So everything kind of has its balance to it. And then I actually, since we're here, I don't know if
we're right at the bar.
We're right at the bar.
Folks at home. He's like, where do you want to set up? And I'm like, well, the taps are right there. How about we do that?
I'm literally sitting next to the taps.
Just to give you the scene, we're here at Goal and before open, and it's a relatively small tasting room, plenty of room for people, but you can stare right into the brewery. There's hardly a barrier between you and the brewery, which is pretty cool.
And another very San Diego thing, we have outdoor yoga going on right now.
It's true. Right when I walked up, there is outdoor yoga going on.
It's very San Diego.
A lot of people California that are better looking and more fit than I am are out on so that's the other thing.
Yeah, they're doing downward dog right now. And
yeah, it's great. But it is just to extend the space a little bit. You've got a nice indoor, and then
we have
a
the patio,
shared patio,
correct,
beer garden.
Yeah.
And is there another brewery here?
So there's 2 other breweries here, and it's kind of not really, it's just the same landlord. We have our own separate systems.
Okay.
Our own separate tap rooms, and we kind of share the patio.
Okay.
So it's nice for customers to come over and try some variety.
Was that the landlord's vision for his building? Like, oh, let's only invite brewers to be here?
That's correct. Yeah. So it's kind of we don't own the equipment, so it's kind of like a starter setup.
Oh, I see.
Other breweries that came out of it, Pure Project was one of them that came out of this program.
Great brewery. Yeah.
Well, Epig is another one that's down here that came out of here. So
does that mean you, as you succeed, will get kicked out of here as well?
Eventually, yeah. And the next brewery will come in here and start their business. So it's really just to get
a cool concept,
get the ground running.
Sure.
And the brand going. Yeah.
Okay. But you did help with install the system too?
No, it's been here. So we're the 4th tenant, I believe.
Oh, and it just so happened to be the same brew house that you were brewing before?
Coincidentally.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, and another one, June Shine, the kombucha company. That was actually the last one to use a system.
Okay.
Was June Shine. Yeah.
Were you afraid of that? Like having funk in here?
Clean the hell out of all these tanks.
Right. And new hoses, of course.
New hoses, replaced all the soft parts on the tanks and just like inspected everything. What's funny is I found a kernel of wheat in one of the spray balls up top. I was like, oh, because there was another brewery back here before the kombucha. I was like, oh, this has been here for a very long time.
Right.
There's no wheat kernels that are...
You did a proper cleaning. Is what you're saying.
I inspected every inch.
Yeah, that would have been terrifying. I mean, I would have waited. Of course, I would have all done that cleaning and then still been worried about my first batch of beer. Like, did I miss one thing and it's going to go sour?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was very thorough.
All right, I cut you off before, and you were serving us the second beer.
Oh, yeah.
What is this one?
So this one's the other lager that's on the board. It's a rice lager. We just had fun with it, named it Lunar New Year rice lager.
Oh,
year of the Mamba, you know?
The year of the Mamba.
Yeah, it's the year of the snake. And one of our the things about our brand is we tried to dig into other things that we like, subcultures, basketballs. Jason and I are big basketball fans, so
nice.
It's kind of ode to Kobe.
Heck yeah. Know? Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah. So you're the snake, you're the mamba. Yeah.
I love it. I'm a snake, by the way.
All right.
So this is my year.
Nice.
I was told by somebody who's very into Chinese astrology that just because it's my year, the year of the snake, I shouldn't do too much. I shouldn't. And I don't know how much of this is like followed by all people in Chinese astrology, but I was like, oh, it's my year. All kinds of good things are going to happen. And this person was like, no, settle down. When it's your year is when you relax and let things come to you. Don't get too out there. So what did you know what you are in Chinese astrology?
I think ox.
You're an ox.
Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, that's a thing. I spent some time on this. I try to know what my friends are. So this is good to know.
What does ox say about people then?
You're kind of a typical ox. Yeah, it's what you would think. You're tenacious. You're going to go after what you want, and you're just going to push through no matter what.
Like I like those things.
Like an ox might, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go.
You can't open 2 breweries and not be ox-like.
All right. Yeah.
If you're more timid, like even, I don't know, a rooster, you would have been too scattered to open 2 breweries. So
good to know.
If you, I don't want to go too crazy on this, but I will say that if anybody's curious, you can read simple descriptions of the Chinese horoscope and ask what your friends are. And almost every time you're like, oh yeah, you're an ox. I get it. You're a monkey. Totally understood. Anyhow, it's kind of fun.
That's fun. So
this beer is amazing.
Thank you. It's a rice lager. So this one, I want to kind of compare and contrast this to the other lager.
Yeah.
About half the residual sugar in there. So it finishes at 1.8 Plato. But that jasmine rice in there kind of gives that floral sweetness to it. So to me, it actually kind of tastes, even though it kind of dissipates on your palate a little bit faster, the taste is a little sweeter because of the rice to me.
I see.
And also the peppery Czech sauce on here. So
sure.
Yeah, if you go back and forth, it's like they're both lagers, but they're 2 different lagers. And I think that's what we want people to understand is like lager's not just lager, right?
This is the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
This, by the way, is the best rice lager I've had in a long time.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. I wouldn't even have guessed jasmine rice until you said it, which is, I think, that's a nice quality. It doesn't just stand out, but it's a subtle take.
And that's what it's not overtaken. I don't want to add too much because then it'll dry it out too much. And then you're just left with just the high carbonated sandpaper on the palate kind of thing.
Yeah.
You want it to linger a little bit. And I think adding the depth of flavor with just multiple malts and the rice, the flaked rice, I think it kind of comes out nice.
And with as dry as it is, I think it needs that. I had a beer yesterday. I don't even remember whose beer it was. It was so dry that I didn't want more. So it's kind of the opposite effect of dry, right?
Yeah.
Usually a nice dry beer, cool, I'm going to have another because it makes you thirsty.
Yeah.
This made me almost chalky. It was so dry. Like it wasn't thirst quenching and it didn't make me want to quench my thirst with another. So I'm saying that with yours, the amount of dryness, I mean, being down at, what'd you say, 1.8?
1.8 Plato, yeah.
It's still, I think the body that you've added with the jasmine rice keeps that dryness from being too much, keeps it from being cloying.
Yeah, I think so too. And then same thing, 5% on both of these. Ooh. So able to compare them equally.
That's nice. I'm surprised you kept it up at 5% even.
Oh, I don't think anything sells below 5%, or it just sells better at 5%.
Good point. That's so funny.
If you have even if it's like 4.9, like 4%, or it's like, no, basically 5. So I just keep minimum is 5.
That's so, okay. If I'm a brewer, I guess I get this
it's
at
under
my tap
control
house
too.
It is, but it's almost infuriating to me because people are talking about low alcohol and drinking less and being healthier, but then they won't buy a beer less than 5%.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I'm giving you exactly what you're preaching. If I give you a nice 4.5%,
it's still flavorful and it's all that,
Absolutely,
it's actually going for like what you're,
let me look at the price.
A little bit more.
They're like, no, if I'm going to spend $5.50, I want it to be full alcohol. Okay. I don't think, unless I'm getting into a double or triple IPA because I want to plan my day out, I don't think I ever look at the alcohol content before I order a beer.
No, not really.
I'm going
If
for
anything,
flavor,
it's more,
right?
that. And I think it's when I'm choosing like IPAs, because they are typically a little bit stronger. I'm stoked when they're like 6.5%.
Yeah.
6.4. Because I know they're still dry hopping the hell out of it.
Totally.
At least the places I go, I know they're doing that. But maybe I could have just like one extra one at the end of the session.
And because of that, I'm not saying I'll look at the alcohol content afterward. I'm just saying it doesn't guide my decision for that beer. I'm looking at your menu and I'm like, oh, I really want some hops. I do see a hazy IPA that's got Nelson in it. I'm literally looking at your menu.
Yeah.
Won't even look at, by the way, it's 6.4. I'll just go straight over to what size I want.
Yeah.
And then afterward, if I like it and I'm about to have a second, all right, now I'm looking at the alcohol content.
Yeah.
But do you see what I'm saying? It's not about like, oh, I better get my 550 worth.
No, if I go to like one of those German breweries or ones that make like Grzycki or something.
Oh, yeah.
Those are like 3%, 3.2%. But I know it's going to be full of flavor. And I was like, I totally want that.
Absolutely. All right. Well, why don't we do this? I know we want to try some more beer. So let's take a quick break. And when we come back, you've got, how many beers do you keep on tap?
15.
That's what
I think 14's on right now, but
okay.
We'll run through the variety of it. We do have, they're divided into sections. So
I see.
Light, hop forward, we got some fruit stuff. And then, of course, the dark and decadent.
You got to have that.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to talk about all of it when we come back. Hang in there. You're listening to The Session.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
This episode is brought to you by Abercrombie. There's nothing better than the perfect jean and going out top combo, or an outfit that perfectly matches your plans. Abercrombie's relaxed jean goes with every occasion. Date nights with something lace, or daytime with a cozy sweater. And their barrel jean will surprise you. It's the trend that will become a staple in your wardrobe. Abercrombie denim comes in tons of rises, fits, and washes. Find your perfect pair online or in store.
Welcome back to the program. We are still at Gold Brewing in San Diego, California, and I'm hanging out with Derek. We're trying through his beers here. I've got a unique selection in front of me now, which we're going to talk about. But I want to go back to your decision to come back to San Diego. And of course, it sounds like it was personal and family.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the professional side of it. How's it been going? And I feel like you chose an interesting time to open a brewery.
Yeah, this like post-COVID, it's not great to open a brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely wanted to move back home and saw opportunity to be the opening head brewer here. And also, my roots are here. I've done well. Like when I moved from Abnormal to Mox up in Sacramento, I carried over. Abnormal was the number one untapped brewery in San Diego. So it's like,
nice.
Why are you leaving? And
right.
It's like, I got to go.
But the same, I would say, kind of happened for Moxa. I think people were surprised when you chose to leave that because you guys were winning awards and you had such a following. But again, you were like, well, I'll just do it again in San Diego.
Yeah, well, I learned that you have to balance it out. It's not just all work. I learned that early on when I was just kind of overworking myself. And it's like you have to take your personal life into account and like what truly makes you happy. It's like, yeah, brewing, I love it. But also it's like, I want to be next to my family, my closest friends. I'm just like missing them a lot.
Of course.
And it's like, Sacramento's great. I love the people. I actually miss the people the most. Great beer community up there. And if you haven't been, I recommend spending like a weekend up there and visiting the breweries because it's still on the rise.
Yeah.
Here, it's pretty saturated.
There's a lot of competition.
A lot of people are making really good beers. And yeah, every neighborhood has a good spot, whether it's a brewery or a beer bar.
Yeah.
I think the culture's still alive. It's just the standard has risen.
Do you have to do something different than you've ever done to stick out? Or is the goal just still, hey, just make the best beer I can?
It's that, but also the branding, I think.
Okay.
The branding. We try to, like I was saying, we dig into subculture. So all the hazies are sneaker themed.
Nice.
And all the West Coast IPAs are car themed.
Okay.
And then we just have fun with that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm looking up at the menu now.
So, So look at the bottom three of the hops.
Yeah.
HD Supreme, it's named after a Kobe shoe. So we're kind of going like Kobe themed this year.
Nice. Yep.
So Hyper Dunk Supreme, HD Supreme.
Heck yeah.
Rolling on TE. So that's a wheel.
Okay.
Some rims. And then a perfect curves is a reference to the perfect curves of a Porsche car. So every Porsche is designed for perfect aerodynamics. So perfect curves.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you a car guy or
No,
that's
Jason.
okay.
So
Okay.
the brand's his baby.
Nice.
But I think it's really cool just kind of pulling from themes because a lot of brewers know naming beers is like the most waste of time thing. Like,
totally.
Why is this so hard? Why is this taking so much time? Like, you go on Untappd, like, no, that's taken. No, that's taken again. Like,
And the branding of a beer nowadays, this sounds like blasphemy. I don't know why I'm going to say it, but it's almost more important than the beer itself. Let's take 805, for example, from Firestone.
Yeah.
All right. So as far as I know, that beer existed long before 805 became popular. It was like honey lager or something like that. I don't know what. And I'm pretty sure they couldn't even give that beer away.
Yeah.
They rebranded to 805, which connected with their local community. And now Firestone is like the house that 805 built, right?
Much, yeah.
Now, of course, I'm not saying that was a bad beer. I'm saying that nobody gave it the time of day until it had cool ass branding.
Yeah.
So I think you guys...
this is the local beer, you know?
Yeah.
Like, everyone loves that.
So to tap into themes, like just to give people a reason, like, okay, now I'm going to go try it. Then they can fall in love with your beer.
It was kind of fun seeing like with the hazies and then people kind of wear their sneakers out here and kind of show it off. And so we're pulling from that culture.
Yeah.
And also our cans, they're kind of designed after the actual shoe that.
Oh, really? Nice.
So, or it has some elements of it. Yeah, we're not throwing a Nike swoosh on it, but you know, it has like the design elements to it.
I love that.
They become like collector items too.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So you find like you have like sneaker days in here where you can look around and go like,
oh yeah, they definitely kind of wear their nice stuff, you know, they show out when they come to the Gold Tap Room.
Dude, that's awesome.
It's fun, you know, because it's like they're connecting with us in a different way. Yeah. Not just the beer.
Not just exactly. And once they do that, it's more of a connection anyway. Like, that's good branding.
And that's what it is. It's like, so I teach a class at San Diego State. I'm actually in the last round because we're ending the program, but marketing craft beer is my class.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I'm teaching that currently right now in class 1, branding.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And then I go, what's a brand? And this is how it is. It's a 6-week course and maybe an hour's about social media.
Okay.
And the rest is like the foundation of a brand, a company.
Right.
And how to connect to your customers.
That's great.
Because I think that's what people need is like more like marketing 101, brand recognition, brand equity. They need to know that stuff before they need to know how to make TikTok videos, you know?
Totally. And now more than ever, it used to be you could just make great beer and you're probably going to do okay.
Yeah.
Now that's not enough anymore.
It's all encompassing, you know, the design of the tap room, the design of your labels, like what color of lids that you have. Like we have gold lids. I think that stands out, you know, and we pay like slightly more for that, but you know, it makes us a little different than the person next to us.
How do you mind me asking how full that class is? I'm curious because it has. Is it not or
no? It's not. It used to be like 40 students.
Okay,
you know, the height of like 2017, the height of craft beer, and then now it's about a dozen.
See, if it said this whole craft beer thing right now, if the class was called, I don't know, marketing your beverage or marketing, it's because you put craft beer in it is why you.
I think we were thinking that in order to continue the program, was like, do we go like the beverage route or like, I was like, yeah, it's easily applied to that as well.
I think so.
Yeah.
It just happens to be your specific expertise. It's craft beer, but it translates.
But I gotta say this group is probably the most passionate.
Nice.
Of all the classes.
Okay.
So we have like part of it's just based on discussion where I bring up a topic and like, what do you think about it? And we learn from each other because everyone has different experiences. Everyone has different points of views for craft beer. And that's your potential customer right there.
Yeah.
So we all learn from each other.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the old school cooperative that craft beer is too. That's how we used to do it anyway. We all learn from each other.
I think that's, I wouldn't say unique, but very different compared to like the wine industry or anywhere else. Like we're willing to share secrets or just like, this is how I made this beer. Like it won't be the exact same.
Sure.
But I'll give you some hints or some tips and you kind of give them back whenever, you know? And that's why there's so many collaborations because we just like hanging out and drinking together.
Yeah.
Right.
It's more about the conversations you're going to have at those collabs. You're probably not even learning about that beer. It's something else you're going to learn talking to your friends. Yeah.
That or visiting and you're like, oh, I see this equipment set up like this. Like, oh, that's interesting. I see how that's more efficient than what I'm doing back home. that's the whole reason why we like hanging out with each other, is like learning and kind of like, that rising tide.
Sure.
Lifts all boats. So yeah, it's a fun industry to be in. And it's been pretty happy in it.
So let's talk about some of the beer in front of me.
Yeah.
Mostly I want to start with this purple beer.
Purple.
There's a purple beer in front of me. What is this?
It's Ube Haze. So it's our number one seller. People are buying by the pitcher.
Really?
Whenever we come out, we rarely sell it to accounts because people buy here. We have to have it on permanent. It's the only permanent beer that we have, actually.
Okay.
So it's a hazy IPA that's actually pretty well dry hopped at 5 pounds per barrel of Citra.
Okay.
And then it gets a little ube powder and a little bit ube flavoring that adds to the color too. So ube, it's a purple sweet potato, and kind of mix it with sugar. You see it in a lot of desserts, and it just kind of brings out these like vanilla, kind of like creamy notes to it. And it's not like this beer, because it's still IPA, it has some bitterness. Like it doesn't go fully into dessert territory.
Sure.
But it does add kind of a unique flavor to it.
It's almost a cream ale. You just described it by saying it's creamy, kind of vanilla. If it were a totally different color, if it were yellow, I would have been like, oh, you made a really nice cream ale.
Yeah.
But because it's purple, and now I am picking up just a little bit of that ube.
Yeah.
Right. But then it still drinks like it has the body of a hazy. It has that like pillowy mouthfeel of a hazy.
Yeah.
It's not even that hazy, by the way.
No, this one kind of cleared up a little bit.
Oh, okay. So, but it might be hazier than this when it's normally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
And
I think this one was because I wasn't repitching any yeast. I didn't buy the nice yeast for it.
I see. Okay. I appreciate your honesty. But
the next beer I did, as you can see.
But I feel like with the purple color, it almost doesn't matter. I mean, in other words, the haze boys and girls are not going to say to you, oh, it's not hazy enough for me. No, the purple almost makes it hazy enough.
This goes for the people that are just like casual beer drinkers. Like,
sure.
There's no like hardcore beer drinkers drinking this, I feel like. But
yeah.
I mean, the majority of our customers are not that. They're people in this neighborhood or people that heard about us, and they enjoy all the different beers. I mean, they're not going to get into lagers like how we are.
Yeah.
They want the purple beer.
Totally.
They want to come over
so
here.
That was kind of my next question from a marketing perspective. Are people ordering it because it says ube, or are people ordering it because they saw the other person with a purple beer and they're like, I want that?
Both. It has multiple levels of marketing to it. Yeah. It's a great festival beer. Like, what's that purple beer I got at that booth? And then just here too, it's like, oh, what's that purple beer? And then they go up, oh, that's ube. Oh, it has ube in it. Like, so people get excited about it. And yeah, it's our only permanent beer.
That's funny. And you obviously you said it's your number one.
Yeah.
How many barrels do you think you'll brew? Not of that beer, total this year.
Oh, just here at Goal?
Yeah.
Maybe like 600 or so, 800.
And how many would you predict would be this beer?
Probably make it every like 6 weeks or so.
Yeah. Okay.
10 to 20 barrels.
Yeah. So it's a really good portion of it.
Oh yeah. It's probably, I guess 100 barrels or so.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you have a purple beer like this elsewhere, or did you invent it here?
Like that I made?
Yes.
I mean, at Mox, we did do ube stout.
Okay. Yeah.
But not like an IPA.
Right. Yeah.
Or a lighter beer. Yeah.
And it's only Citra hops?
Correct. Yeah.
This is a nice beer.
Has a little, so all my hazies have Idaho 7 in the Whirlpool.
Okay.
So it has that. And then this one's particularly dry hopped with the Citra. I think that was the hop that worked the best with ube.
Okay.
Something not too far off to where it's like the flavors are clashing.
Right.
So yeah, just kind of settled with Citra. And I love Citra too.
Citra's so great.
Yeah.
This is a good beer. I'm glad that you gave it to me, because I'm the type, I don't consider myself a full-on beer snob, but I'm the type of beer snob that I'm like, oh, I don't want the purple one. Don't give me that.
Yeah. What is that?
But it's delicious.
Thank you.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. I think the flavors kind of balance out well. It's not overly like sweet or hoppy. I think I still want it to be a beer, you know, and it's pretty well dry hopped.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. No, it's hoppy. And it's not, the aroma's all hops. It's not like ube is bursting out of this glass. That's nice. All right. And then we've got another hazy right next to it. This one.
So that's the HD Supreme.
Okay.
Yeah. So that one we just came out with this week. It's pretty cool. It has 3 different Nelson products in it.
Oh, and you can smell it's got that diesel coming out of it too. And the aroma. I love that.
Yeah. I think that's contributed to the Nelson Hyper Boost from Yakima Chief. So it's a pourable hot product.
Okay.
And I think it just adds a nice aroma to it.
I love it.
So I'm definitely using that in the future.
Okay.
I don't think it added too much to the flavor, but definitely the aroma.
Yeah.
I think the flavor is
dank.
Flavor, I used hops from Freestyle. Have a good relationship with them. So part of it is our contracted Nelson, which I kind of go for that typical like stone fruit, Sauv Blanc, passion fruit, but not too dank. And then Nelson Bliss, which is a new product from them, and kind of like how you would beat up like a lemongrass to kind of bruise it to expose more flavors. That's what they do to the hop flower. It's pretty crazy. I don't know if they did that on purpose or a happy accident, but they bruise the hop flowers before pelletizing, and it creates more thiol characteristics, which are passion fruit, guava. And it was pretty interesting to try. So with this one, it's 100% Nelson. And I don't think you could do this 5 years ago because it was too dank and diesely. But now with products from YCH and Freestyle, I think they're paying more attention to having more like nuanced fruit flavors rather than just hitting you with that strong diesel kind of characteristic.
Sure.
So Nelson's back, baby.
It is. And this beer is brand new for you say?
Oh, yeah. We don't really have a lot of core brands. We have core styles.
Okay.
So we'll try to always have a hazy, few West Coast, couple lagers.
You should enter this beer into every hazy competition you can.
Yeah.
This to me is all of the great things that a hazy should be. It's got the mouthfeel, again, that people are looking for, but that diesel and dank, for me, who would normally pick a clear IPA, this also ticks those boxes.
And so this is my approach to hazies. I want them to be drinkable because we've had hazies. They're like hop soup, you know? I can't, like, it's so heavy. You know, this is a meal in a glass. I try to create a little bit more drinkability with these, a little bit lower-ish efficient gravity, but also add a little bit of maltodextrin in it, which is adds a body but no sweetness. It's like the cornstarch of brewing,
right?
You know, just kind of thickens it up a little bit, creates that body, and I think the body is important because it keeps those hops on the palate a little bit longer. It doesn't just wash away. So that's a little trick that I use. A lot of people use that, but I found it to be more of my liking, that I want more drinkability. I don't want like a hazy I can't finish.
Sure.
You know?
And I think the other thing you've accomplished, so hazy people like the low bitterness and high hops.
Yeah.
Clear beer people like a firm bitterness. I feel like you actually struck the balance on this one. For me, it's not too pillowy and soft. It's not quite as firm bitter as like a Pliny or something, right? Like another clear IPA, but I think you found the balance.
Thanks. Yeah. And that's just trial and error. I still want to use the same amount of hops in all the IPAs, or at least on the hot side.
Sure.
Pound per barrel on the Whirlpool. But I play with the temperatures.
Okay.
Of the Whirlpool. Less temperature, less conversion, but same amount of hop flavor.
Interesting.
Yeah, so just a little bit less bitterness. So this one gets Whirlpool at 170, and then the West Coast at 190.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, so I wouldn't have thought that. When you said temperature, I'm thinking like totally on the cold side, but no, you're just talking the Whirlpool.
Yeah, because everything's the same. Like the length of the Whirlpool, length of the rest. It's really just the temperature that we're exposing the hops to.
So then it's time and temperature too, right? So if the actual length of the whole Whirlpool is the same, but you've got to wait for it to get down to 170, there's less contact time too.
I don't add the hops in until it gets to that temperature.
And then the timer starts.
Okay,
yeah. I see. So
once I get down to the
contact time is the same.
Yeah, correct.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good trick, man. Because it's working on this beer.
Yeah. It's still, I don't want to hold back on the hop flavor, but you know, you got to adjust like the bitterness, the alcohol and all that. I just try to keep things consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if there's any theme for this brewery, or at least my brewing, it's precision. And I want to be as precise as possible. So it's like having all the numbers in line and trying to nail them every time.
So you've got a killer logbook. Like your logbook has all the info that you need.
I think it's more notes than I need, you know? It's like when have I ever like read this again, but they're there.
Right.
They're there, and there's a pretty much a goal for every step of the process.
Do you, other than your Ube Haze, do you ever go back and just completely redo a beer? Like this one, if I'm you, in a year, I'm like, I'm gonna brew that HD Supreme again. I love that.
Oh yeah.
You do go back to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely play favorites. There's the bistro competition up I was fortunate to win a medal there the first time I entered through goal. And,
nice.
Yeah. And had to rebrew that, obviously.
Of course. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's going immediately back on the schedule. And then there's ones that we got to bring it back. I missed that beer. Yeah. It's not that different. It was just like something like that was a Centennial Mosaic. And I have this killer Centennial that I get from Crosby Hop Farms and had to use it again.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I love hearing that Centennial's making a comeback. You're not the only one. The C hops in beers, like these new school brewers using new school hops are surprising me with their C hops recently.
I think they're getting a little bit more fruity, more tropical, and kind of pulling away from the pine. As they're not like pine bombs anymore.
Right.
The Centennial I get is pine and pineapple.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Nice.
it has a little fruitiness to it.
I think that's a smart move on the hop growers' part.
Yeah, I think so. Just kind of like seeing what people like and
Well,
kinda
it's
grow
a
into that.
hardy hop, right? Like they can we already know they can grow it en masse. So if they can tweak it in those directions that people are looking for, smart move.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, clear beer. We're going to the next one. What do we have here?
So it's rolling on TEs. It's a West Coast double IPA with what's with it? Oh, this is the double version of it. So Mosaic Centennial. So exactly what I was talking about.
Okay, yeah.
I actually entered this into the double IPA competition at the bistro.
Up to the bistro? Yeah.
So I had to make a double version of what was successful there last time.
I see.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So this one, Mosaic
I
and
can
Centennial.
smell the Mosaic.
Love Mosaic. Select it for blueberry and pineapple. And what I ask is blueberry, pineapple, and as much intensity as you can give me.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the Centennial is pine and pineapple.
Oh, yeah. That's all there.
Yeah. Same thing with this. My approach is making it super pale, letting the hop shine. Not like too dry. This one actually ended up being pretty dry.
Yeah.
But I think
8.5%, but it's dry.
when you get up to that level, I think like 8.5, you start to produce those alcohol sugars that give a perceived body to it without registering as sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's pretty dry, I think it still maintains that little body to it.
And the fruitiness, I think, of the Mosaic also adds to that, right? If you're getting some blueberry in there, some of my favorite doubles have that. They have this fruity quality without tasting just like fruit. I think it's a perceived body.
Yeah.
This is a great beer.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is one of the... So this I would order a pint of and then
you realize, like, why am I feeling it?
Totally. Then I'm like, I should check.
I just crushed this right now. It's like, oh shit, it's 8.5%.
But okay, double IPAs to me I would never have called them drinkable. And now the way you guys are doing, and I don't mean that they're undrinkable. There's a difference between drinkability
like
and
they were on purpose. They were a little bit.
They just were too
rougher.
much.
Yeah.
They were too bitter, or the opposite.
Yeah,
they
that's
were way
true.
too sweet. There was one or the other. Now I really enjoy a double IPA, and yours is an example of it. It's because you guys have figured out how to straddle that fence. I think.
I think the inspiration was Pliny. I have a Pliny every month.
Okay,
Once a month to recalibrate.
Yes.
is what I say.
Yeah. That's a smart move. My customers have 2 a day to recalibrate at the Hop Grenade. We sell so much Pliny. So like I mention them often on the show, but Altamont Brewing Company makes my favorite doubles.
Okay, yeah.
There's just something about what they do. And this is akin to that. And it's that perceived fruitiness that adds body that I really enjoy. Like it makes me thirsty. And that's what that's what I'm saying I didn't like about double IPAs. They weren't that drinkable. They didn't make me thirsty.
Yeah.
This does, which is a problem, of course,
Yes.
at 8.5%.
No, well, the problem's the next one.
Oh, no. Okay.
You want drinkability and realizing how strong it is.
What yeast do you use for your doubles? Do you change things up, or is it maybe the same?
No, it's the same yeast. I'll actually either use, typically it's just the Fermentus USO5, just your classic dry yeast.
Okay.
Neutral.
Yep.
But sometimes if I have it, lager yeast. I like using lager yeast for West Coast IPAs.
Oh, interesting.
I think it performs.
But at ale temp?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very clean. I think it works well. And it kind of accentuates a little more maltiness, but not like too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're not getting like off flavors or esters from a lager yeast at higher temps?
It performs very well and very neutral. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I think a lot of people are starting to do that now just to keep less yeast in
Sure.
rotation.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So what's next then?
It's a perfect curves. So ode to Porsche's perfect aerodynamics,
Nice.
car themed. And this is a triple IPA hopped at 7 pounds per barrel.
7 pounds
Yeah.
per barrel. Okay, that's a tough bill to pay.
And
when you order those ingredients.
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so Strata in Columbus. I did want a little bit more dank on this. So, and same thing with Columbus. It's not the same Columbus as before. I remember buying it for because they're out of Warrior, and I needed a like a bittering hop.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh well, Columbus has a pretty high alpha. I'll go for that.
Yeah.
And then I opened up the bag. I was like, oh no, I'm saving this.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, because it smelled so great, and so I started to use it on the cold side
Okay.
for a few beers, and I want because it is younger season.
Mm-hmm.
And younger typically has like a little like classic flavor to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to throw in Columbus. And also the Strata that I get has a little ding to it as well.
There's a little bit of the blueberry in this too, unless I'm just lingering from the last one. But also a little candy, as a triple should have, in my opinion, to balance out that the bitterness that it could have. But the body is almost like a double.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, like all the ones that I've made in the past were like pretty sweet. So I purposely try to dry this out. I mean, this is down to 2 Plato.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But like I said, when you get up to that alcohol level, starts to create these like false perceived sweetness with the glycogens or alcohol sugars.
The alcohol sugars. Yeah. This is a great beer.
It's 11%.
And it's that helps it be great, you know?
Yeah, of course.
But this is really nice. Actually, it's nice to have the double first and move to this because same but different. I don't know how else to say it. You know, you can really taste the nuances when you taste them side by side like that.
I think that's just IPAs now in general, where you have like multiple on the board and are like, they all taste the same. No, try them side by side and like you'll see what from the brewer's perspective, like how they're different. You know?
Sure. Is your bittering hop on this still Columbus? Because you said you wanted to save that for later, but did you bitter with it anyway?
So I think I don't add any bittering hops to any IPAs.
Oh, you don't?
It's all Whirlpool and just play with the temperature to control the bitterness.
Okay, stop right there. Stop the show. Not even like 5 minutes, like nothing until the Whirlpool.
You get a lot from dry hop as well.
Yeah.
And having this being dry hopped at 6 pounds per barrel, I mean, it's adding a decent amount of bitterness to it.
Sure.
So I think that's just trial and error because I don't pay attention to the IBUs on like the calculators and stuff. It's really just been trial and error for the past 15 years or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what surprised me about that. It's not the first time I've heard it, but when I've talked to sort of hop scientists, like used to do a show with Yakima with YCH, and they would talk about how hop matter in the boil and in the beer is important. So even though they're creating and pushing these like new hop products, right? Yeah. Like fluid hop products and stuff that goes in later, they still have this kind of core tenet that hop matter and leaf matter should be in the boil and in the beer in order to accentuate those other things.
I 100% agree. I mean, I think I've been kind of pulling away from cryo. Like, it's nice when you have like a good lot of cryo and you taste other beers with a good variety, but I think they're a little bit more narrow in their flavor profile.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of like almost like one note.
And they need to be complemented.
Yeah. Whereas like the T90 hops that had that leaf matter in there, I think it just provides much more layered flavor profiles.
Sure. But I guess what I'm saying is, but that doesn't mean you need to have it in the boil. You're accomplishing that just by putting hop matter, because it's still leafy matter, obviously, in the Whirlpool. Yeah. You don't find that you're missing any complexity by not doing anything in the boil.
No. Yeah, just
That's
Whirlpool.
what surprised
just
me.
Whirlpool at £1 per barrel.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which is like a decent amount.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah. But if I had it at like, if I didn't lower it to 190, I think it would be too bitter.
Okay.
Because of so much dry hops I'm adding that adds that as well.
Just sheer quantity of,
Yeah.
Okay.
Of hops in general.
Yeah.
You know?
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. I'm certainly not arguing with you because the beer is fantastic. I'm just surprised. Like even those who say, oh, I do all Whirlpool hops, usually put a token amount at 60 minutes.
Yeah. No. And I think the only ones that get bittering hops for me are, well, it's really just the lagers and the stouts.
And the stouts too.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's their only charge is a 60-minute charge. I mean, that's like 5-6 hour boil, but at 60 minutes, that's a countdown right there.
That's okay. All right. Well, that was a delicious flight. And now I want another one. So why don't we do this? We're going to take a quick break. I'm here at Gold Brewing Company in San Diego, California, hanging out with my friend Derek, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. I'm still hanging out at Gold Brewing Company in San Diego, California. And hey, real quick, thanks to our sponsor of this show and every show we've done for 20 years now, Derek. 20 years. Thanks to More Beer. Go to morebeer.com and check them out. They've got everything you need on the pro side and the home brewing side. They're your guys, and they're my guys too. Thank you to More Beer for always supporting this show. You know, Derek, I like your style, and I'm going to tell you why. Usually I tell my guests, although I'm your guest today at the brewery, is, in a show, we've got time to taste 4 beers maximum.
Yeah, I remember.
And that's that. Like, don't bring me more than that. But, you know, when we're sitting at the bar and I'm looking at your tap handles and we're just getting all these perfect little samples, it's working out great.
Yeah.
I like your style.
I think you need to visit more breweries and do more shows.
I think you're right.
Right at the bar.
I know. And usually I'm like, oh yeah, let's put us in a corner. I'm going to start a new rule that no, we're at your bar. That's where the show is good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. All right. What are we tasting through now?
Yeah. So we got a few more. So this is the, we got a fruit beer and we got a couple stouts. So this fruit beer, I just learned that, so the soda that I grew up with, Cactus Cooler.
Yeah.
Was that up there? I thought it was only southern, southwest United States.
So I grew up in the Southern California desert.
Oh, yeah.
Cactus Cooler was a thing.
Okay, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was I tried to make Cactus Cooler with mango.
Okay. All right. I haven't had a Cactus Cooler in so long.
Most of the listeners are not familiar with that, but Cactus Cooler, it's pineapple and orange soda. Yeah. So I use pineapple and tangerine because I like tangerine better. Mm-hmm. But it added some mango to it.
So I like that you've said a fruited beer. We used to just say across the board sour beer, right? Even if it wasn't sour. If it had fruit in it, people would be like, oh, that's a sour. We have sour beer. This is just a fruited beer. It's not sour.
Yeah.
And so it's delicious.
I go through a lacto-fermented base, kettle sour. So over the weekend, throw in some lactobacillus, let it sour up over the weekend. And Monday I'll knock it out. And then towards the end of fermentation, add this fruit in there.
So fruit at the end.
Yeah.
It's a completely clean of fruit until then.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So most of the fermentation is going in just the base.
Is it just a wheat base or what?
Yeah. Wheat and two-row.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little bit two-row too. Yeah.
Actually, wheat and Pilsner is what I use.
Oh, right.
Just try to make it as light as possible. Especially with these fruited beers nowadays, no one wants it to taste like beer, you know?
True. No beer flavored beer without fruit. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really good. And again, with the not cloying, not sticking on your tongue too long, it's very fruity. Let's just be clear.
Yeah.
But that goes away nice, like the Cactus Cooler did. Right?
Yeah.
I think carbonation has to do with that, right? A little bit of carbonic acid.
Yeah. And definitely trying to get that, because the fruit doesn't fully ferment out and it does provide a lot of sweetness to it, making sure you have that low or that high acidity on the base, just so it balances out at the end.
So is fermentation done when you add the fruit or not quite?
It's pretty much done.
It's pretty much done.
Yeah.
So you add fruit and then you're kind of capping it off and that's your beer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the percentage on this?
This one is 6%.
Right. See, I would have called it lower too.
Yeah.
This is really nice. Are your fruit beers popular here?
They are. Yeah, they are.
I mean, they're people who don't want beer flavored beer.
We have 4 on the board right now, so they're kind of spread out. But you're seeing pretty much every group at least order one. We got something for everybody here.
Is this hard nectar? Is that what you call it?
Hard nectar PMT. So
the PMT,
pineapple, mango, tangerine.
Bro, hard nectar is great branding.
Yeah,
that's really why that's going to get stolen from you.
I hope not.
It's really good branding.
It's ours.
You need to make it yours and call it yours. In today's market, there's hard seltzers, hard everything. Hard nectar, though, that's great. No wonder you teach the class. But then you describe it as a smoothie sour with pineapple, mango, and tangerine.
Yeah, I don't package the puree in there.
Okay.
So I package it right above it. It was just a mess for the draft system, canning, and all that. So
I see.
And just sampling it above the puree in the tank, it was still really fruity. So I was like, let's just make everything easier.
Yeah.
We get the flavor. It still has a lot of body to it, but it's not that where fruit's caked on the side of the glass.
And I wouldn't like that at all, by the way. This to me is more like the old school sours I liked, like a Cantillon and such, where you never find you're not going to find the fruit in there. Mm-hmm. All the color, all the flavor, but
it gets extracted from
the
fruit.
Yeah. Nothing like thick and like pulpy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, this is great. Okay. Again, I'm glad you're giving this to me because if I saw it in a glass, I'm like, yeah, no, I just want my beer flavored beer. But this is something else. Hard nectar. Well done.
Thanks.
All right. What else do we have?
Next one. Okay. I don't name the beers. Well, I mean, I have input, but this one I definitely didn't name.
Okay.
Try these nuts.
Nice. Oh, there it is. Oh, and it's not D's. I thought for a second the beer's called D's Nuts. It's literally called Try D's Nuts. Yeah. This is a great name. And I grew up in the era of that joke. So
it's a one-off
keg, on me.
So it's not like we're not packaging it. It's just like it's here today, gone.
But it does have honey roasted peanuts in it. So there is a reason. Let's just say that.
Honey roasted peanuts and toasted coconut to it. So this is a stout base. This base is a little bit more assertive and not roasty, but like dark and rich, like dark chocolate.
Oh yeah.
So it takes a lot of ingredients to kind of go through that like intensity. You get the peanuts like all throughout. I think
you really do. The coconut is there.
It's not like a dominant thing. It's there.
No, and especially because it's very chocolatey too.
It is, yeah.
So you have the chocolate, and then so the coconut's just there, but then you definitely get the peanut.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Honey roasted peanuts too, by the way. It's not just like a standard.
I know.
What format did that go in the beer?
Store.
Yeah, what format went in? How did you get honey roasted peanuts into it? Did you throw honey roasted peanuts into it?
Yeah. So this one, because it's just a one-off keg, I do have a 5-barrel custom-made treatment vessel that I use for most of the stouts, which is going to be on our next one. But this particular one, because it was just a one-off keg, it's stout month in February.
Okay.
So every Tuesday, I'm coming out with like a one-off keg.
I see.
It's just a static infusion, just in our treatment keg. Just kind of sits there, shake it up a bit, and then when it comes to the day before Monday, I'm chilling it down and carbonating it.
Can you give me and our listeners like a mechanical description of a treatment keg? How are you able to? Is just a normal keg that you put stuff in?
It's a normal keg that you could remove the spear very easily. Think of it as a big, like, corny keg.
Okay.
A half barrel.
I was thinking of some sort of stainless basket in it or something, but it's not that. It's just that you can take
I bag it up and then I'll transfer it into another keg after it's done treating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So it's just like sitting, shake it up every once in a while, every time I pass by. And then after a week, just transfer it back.
I see.
So these are just kind of a quick, like, fun thing to do.
That's a great way to do it. So first of all, homebrew style. I like that.
It is, yeah.
And why not? So when you said I'm going to come out with another stout every Tuesday, I was like, no, you're not. You're brewing a stout but with a treatment keg, you can do this.
And I have some like base stout that I have saved.
Yeah.
So I could just apply it because I'll make a whole tank's worth, but I'm not going to make a whole tank's worth of like one particular stout. So I'll keg it off, or at least this batch. I kegged it off and I'm just like making a bunch of different beers. What I think works well with the base.
Sure. How did you decide how much peanuts to put in it? I mean, experience, obviously.
Experience, yeah.
Okay.
So typically with peanuts, it's 7 to 10 pounds per barrel.
I see. Okay. That's delicious. You know what I like about it too? I hope this is a compliment. You didn't go like some fancy, it doesn't have to be macadamia. It doesn't have to be some rare nut. You're like, how about honey roasted peanuts?
Peanuts and almonds provide the best flavor for nuts.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Like that gets into the beer.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And also tastes good. Like macadamia, cashews, like you barely taste them. And those are expensive too.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, peanuts are cheap. That's why I was like, I hope you know this is a compliment. I'm not calling you cheap.
No, it just works well in beer. Same thing with almonds. Almonds is probably my favorite nut to use in there.
Okay.
Toast those. And then hopefully while it's still hot, add them to the beer so that aroma is not escaping into the air.
Yeah.
It's escaping into the beer.
And you don't have to grind them up or anything. They can be whole.
Yeah, or slice. Like you want surface area, but you don't want it to like clog anything. You want the liquid to get in there, you know?
I got you.
Yeah. So that kind of leads into the next one. So this is the one that I took a lot more time on. So this last beer right here is a bebinca latte. Bebinca is a Filipino dessert that is rice cooked with coconut milk and then topped with brown sugar and baked.
Okay.
So it has a kind of like caramel thing going. So this beer right here, Bebinca Latte, is toasted coconut. It's a big dessert stout, but it's toasted coconut, vanilla beans, and coffee. Yeah.
Okay. This is a perfect finish to this to this episode.
Yeah.
What form is the coffee in? Coffee beans or like brewed coffee?
Coarse ground.
Coarse ground, so not brewed. You just put the coarse.
No, I think I never use brewed coffee because that has dissolved oxygen in the coffee. I'm not gonna like boil it away, you know. So
yeah.
So with this one, I do use my custom treatment vessel.
Good. Yeah. Okay.
And so it's a 5-barrel vessel, kind of like I think in Florida they have spin bots, but this is basically a mash tun with a false bottom on wheels kind of thing, but with different inlets. And then it just collects on the bottom, kind of like a mash tun. So with this, I put the stout in there with, it's about 1.5 pounds per gallon of coconut, toasted coconut. And I'll run that with vanilla beans for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one was like a week and a half.
Okay.
And then because coffee takes less infusion, especially if it's coarse ground, has a lot of surface area, I'll put positive pressure on the treatment vessel, open it up, dump in the coffee, and I think it was only like 4 hours on the coffee.
Wow.
To get that. And it was great because you get the coffee on the aroma, but not too much on the taste. I think the taste is more the coconut vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
Vanilla, maybe you don't taste it, but it adds to it.
Sure.
It creates that like dessert type of thing.
And by the way, as soon as you can say I taste vanilla, it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like to me, it has to be a sprinkle of vanilla.
Yeah. I think it just brings in like to that dessert territory.
Yeah.
It's not like you're drinking vanilla extract.
Right. Exactly. But the coffee is the finishing touch, even though, you don't want it to be overpowering. You don't want it to be bitter like a coffee, but that's just the icing on the cake right there. How did you know? You said it took 4 hours. How did you know? You're tasting it every hour?
I taste it after 2 hours because it is recirculating through that.
Right.
So with this treatment vessel, I am using a pump to continually spin it basically.
Okay.
And recirculate. So I'm able to taste as I go.
Yeah.
It's all homogenized because it's running through a pump. So it's like, is it good now? Is it good now? It's good now. All right. Put it into the tank.
Got it.
Carb it up and let's go.
So with the coconut and the vanilla, you knew you didn't have to taste it every hour. That's from like experience.
That's like the longer the better.
Longer the better.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, I'm going to introduce coffee now. This is my day. I'm going to be here for the next few hours tasting this.
Add it at the beginning of the shift. And I know by the end of the shift, sometime between that, it's going to be done.
Yeah.
And that's through experience. And same thing with the coconut and vanilla. It's really like dosing rates because it's like, I know how much I need.
Yeah.
I think 1.5 pounds per gallon is a lot.
Sure.
But it's at least 1 pound per gallon. And then vanilla for this one, I think it's like 0.4 pounds per barrel on it using real vanilla beans. I blend it up, create a lot of surface area.
Okay.
I'm not splitting and scraping like 2,000 beans, or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah. The silence is me enjoying this final beer.
Yeah, I think we're both enjoying it.
Because it's just, this is wonderful.
And I haven't had this in a while because it's non-tap and it's one of our last few bottles. So
nice.
I had to break it out for this episode.
When's it from? 2024 it says on there, but.
Yeah, I think this was late last year. I mean, it was a couple months ago or so, but it went fast.
I bet.
Yeah.
You had it on tap as well or only bottles?
Tap as well.
Yeah. Okay.
And same thing. I mean, if you notice a theme for everything is drinkability.
Yes.
Like, there's not anything that's like clonally sweet or too bitter, too boozy.
Yeah.
And I think that's just through experience.
That's your signature, Derek. I think that's
a good signature.
It totally is a good signature. That's how, when I heard about you in the first place, they're like, oh yeah, this guy and his pastry stouts. And I'm like, well, whatever, not my thing. But then I tasted your beer and I realized, that's your signature, man. Drinkability.
Yeah. And I think it's like, if anything, I've got really popular through the pastry style. It's done national talks and stuff. But I think it's just like, across the board, being known for quality, drinkability, precision.
For sure.
I want that across from lagers to the pastry stouts.
It's a good philosophy, man.
Yeah.
It's going to keep taking you far.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me and sharing this beer. It's so, so good. I'm happy I made the stop here. You know, I have I hope this comes across as me patting you on the back. I had a lot of breweries to choose from. Yeah. I really wanted to taste your beer because I haven't had it since your last brewery, and I knew it would be like this.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you having me and taking the time. It's a Saturday. It's a holiday weekend. You could be off doing something else. Yeah. And thanks for spending your time with me.
And I appreciate you, Justin, because the Brewing Network is where I learned how to brew.
Oh, heck yeah, dude. Well,
so all the different shows and everything, just learning from Jamil and John and you and all your guests. That's where I actually learned how to brew.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Then my life's work, if it produced this, I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah. Great. I'm retiring now.
I don't know if I heard the episode in 2010 about pastry stouts, but
you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
But it led to this somehow.
So good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. And where can people find you on Instagram?
GoalX Brewing. Okay. So that's where we have all the info. You could find us on Facebook as well, but we do a lot more on Instagram. I mean, that's really the main hub, messaging, posts and all that. Yeah, that's where we communicate through.
Okay. And this year, if you're into basketball, sneakers, or cars, you got some events and some themes happening down at the brewery, or some releases anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we're going to have fun with it.
There we go. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks to our sponsors. Don't forget about the wonderful More Beer. How about 21st Amendment? Also been with me since very near the beginning. 21st Amendment Brewery. You can go to 21st-amendment.com. I'm hoping that Sully is actually going to meet me in Arizona and be a co-host for some of these road shows that we're doing. Go to Beersmith. You can go to beersmith.com. Check out their brewing software. You can get a free downloadable version, and it's the best brewing software on the market, and we love them for it. And finally, don't forget about the Beer Law Center. John at Beer Law Center is still doing amazing things for the Brewing Network. He had to tell some military-themed brewery that stole my hop grenade. He'd been working on it for months to get them to stop, and he's just great at what he does. Even if you don't need a trademark protected, he can help you with your brewery filings, your TTB, all of that stuff. So beerlawcenter.com. And John, thanks for supporting me. Thanks to all our sponsors. Thanks to you listeners. My next show is likely to be in Arizona, where I'm headed right now on my road trip, probably with Arizona Wilderness Brewing Company. I'm going to do a collaboration brew with them out in the middle of the desert. So stay tuned for this and more right here on the Brewing Network. Take care of yourselves and your beer.
The Session is a production of the Brewing Network and brought to you by More Beer. Check them out at morebeer.com. Find more content and live video of this show on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Brewing Network. For sponsorship opportunities and information, please reach out to advertising@thebrewingnetwork.com. To reach our hosts, contact feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com.